Charter Amendment Committee, and we are demanding that you make an immediate formal retraction of your claims against the Charter Amendment that have been based upon pure speculation to bend the will of the voters of Bowling Green. We would like this public retraction by 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, October 10th. If not, we will then look into filing a formal complaint with the Ohio Board of Elections. I've got a formal letter here, and I'll be happy to give you a copy. And we also
I don't know what you're talking about in terms of because we are dealing with absolute fact. I suspect you're referring, because you've been after Brian O'Connell on it, the Director of Public Utilities, in terms of the potential increase in electrical rates if we had to go to all non-fossil fuels. But everything else is absolute fact. And I'd like to know from you which points, specific points, that you're having a problem with. And we'll try our best to answer them. And I'm going to ask Mr. Marsh to respond in terms of the legal aspects, because I do not intend to offer any retraction. I don't offer any apologies whatsoever, and I'm not responsible for this document here, incidentally. So please give it. It's from a private group, and that's helping the city do its public business. It's the Bowling Green Community Development Foundation. It's the economic development arm board that works with the city of Bowling Green, but it's totally private, totally independent. And Jennifer, you're shaking your head no.
Not per the website.
Would you care to address that, Sue, please? Yes. Sue Clark, would you? Is Jennifer doubting your?
It says right on the website that it's a public-private group.
There are no funds from the Bowling Green Community Development Foundation are being used to do this private funding.
Where do the funds come from?
What is the public part of the group then?
Public parks are funding that keeps us going on a day-to-day basis, and we don't have the money to support this, so it was established from private funds.
What private?
Jennifer, that's a political action committee that was filed with the Board of Elections. There's treasurer designations, I don't know, what, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe more than that. It's not an organization that has a similar name. It's all subject to the reporting requirements of state law, that sort of thing. Answer your question.
But those are good questions, and they should be answered. And but it's not a part of city government whatsoever.
Why is the brochure in the city building?
It's all over town.
It's just the brochures are up outside of city council chambers for visitors to the
Well,
city.
I think there are a number of private groups that are involved in that. They're very much concerned about this. It's within their right to. This is not sanctioned by the city. It was not developed by the city government at all. This comes from the Bowling Green Area Community Development Foundation. I suspect you'll be seeing them all over town in different parts of town. But this is not being paid for by the city government. It did not come from city government.
And that comes from public funds, period.
No.
But it did come from the utilities director, the city utilities director.
But all of the information did come from the city utilities director that's in that brochure.
Yes.
That's what's being used to launch the counter campaign. Is
Sorry?
the information being used to launch the counter campaign is based on the public utilities director's report.
It's public information. It is public information. And Brian, Mike, I mean, it's open to
But it's
anyone.
misleading.
You didn't even have to make a formal request for it. It would have been given to you. It's right there. They're his numbers. I'm a political scientist. I'm not an engineer. I didn't do the math. I invite others to do the math based on those numbers there. And again, I think it depends on if you were to go to non-fossil fuels within a short time frame, that would be the financial impact on the city because it would go to our customers.
Well, also the interpretation, the perspective of that study was based on a misinterpretation of the document.
Well, that's what I said. Your language is very vague and very confusing. If you were being this, I'm going to say, in kind of a extra smart way about this than what you would have said, and others I think have done this, is to put some real aspirational language in there saying we would like to work with the city because the city has had an excellent track record in using non-fossil fuels, and we know that the city's goal, we hope that the citizens of Bowling Green will help to have this by 2030 or 2050, whatever. But there's nothing in there that would indicate, now some people want to read their aspirational goals. I wish they were stated very clearly because they're certainly not clear to me. And furthermore, what I'm arguing here, and you can argue with others in this room, I'm arguing on the principles of our city charter. You always evade that. You don't take that into consideration. You don't understand that this was adopted by the voters in 1972. It was updated, amended in 1991 and 2001 by the citizens of Bowling Green after the appointment of a nonpartisan review committee, after lengthy public hearings and review, after going to city council for a vote to test it, and then it went to the voters. I would say that you have the cart before the horse. The citizens always have the right, under our form of governments, to petition, and that's a very healthy process and initiative. If the system of government fails, and at no time did you come and work with city council and say, how can we work this through? And how can we amend the charter through with the legislative action by city council? And so, but you had to jump immediately because this is what's been working elsewhere, I suspect. But we take pride in our charter, what it means, and all it does, it doesn't address issues. It outlines our system of governance in Bowling Green, the prescribed roles for council and various units of government. It's a very healthy document. And it has been updated twice by the voters with some technical amendments and so forth. There was one point, I know that one of the issues had to do with some of the former members of council here. We're looking at the possibility of everyone running at large. That issue was studied and reviewed in depth and so forth. So I'm sorry to be so pointed on this, but I'm arguing on the basis of our city charter. That's where I am. If you want to argue about numbers and so forth, the potential for this or how we interpret these numbers, that's your case, that's your cause, but the numbers are there. And it was an engineer that did the math on it, applying that on the basis of going to the fossil fuels. I wish there was some recognition of the fact of our track record as a city and what we are doing.
That's why we thought Bowling Green
If you
would
could tell me any other cities, many other cities in Ohio that can even surpass our kind of record, I'd like to know. But I'm hard pressed to find them. I know of Oberlin, and I really commend Oberlin for what they're doing. They're getting 56% of their energy sources are coming from methane fuel right now from a landfill that's adjacent to the city. And so that's a little bit different. Our landfill is not owned by the city. It's a county. Some people have tried to tell me, Dick, you're going to be dumping, fracking stuff's going to be dumped in our county landfill. No, it can't. It's governed by the EPA. It can't handle liquid
that's
at
not
all.
true.
It's totally, and I'm on the Solid Waste District Board, so
It's not.
we'll talk later
This
after I
is-
think Sue.
Could we get a picture of the coalition if possible? Or
Yes.
that land and maybe.
Yes, a number of people could not be here today, but I'd like for all members of the coalition just to come up forward here.
I have one request. Would the city please release the how they calculated the numbers, that there's going to be an 86% increase in utility rates and 1,000 jobs lost immediately that are in the brochure that came from O'Connell's study.
Yeah. Sue, Brian, I don't know. who-
1,000
who asked?
jobs.
I emailed via Harper yesterday my document.
We got the spreadsheet, but not how that was turned into 1,000 jobs lost and an 86% increase.
Job loss language didn't come from the Board of Public Utilities. That wasn't part of the city report. I think the job loss conclusion comes from the fact that no coal, no fossil fuel energy will be allowed to be delivered.
That's not
to
true.
any industrial concern.
That's not true.
Unfortunately, that is what your document says. And
It
I
does.
regret that, because you're talking to somebody that supports your notion on fracking, and so does he, by the way. But this isn't about fracking now. We're talking about language that has nothing to do with fracking that's in your proposal. And that's what's causing this. If you can't deliver fossil fuel generated energy to the industry and the community, I don't know where do you think those people are going to work. But that's what that's about.
There's no
That's what that's
intention to cause any of these problems.
understand
That's
that.
not, and
We're giving you
and-
credit for that.
And only,
But
I
and
think,
unfortunately,
only if
that's
it's
what
our
it does.
circumstances would somebody ever claim that
Lisa,
that
we'll be
should
happy to
happen.
stay on and answer any questions you have. But in all fairness to the people who share our concern about the issue of fracking in the city limits of Bowling Green,
Right. We're
in the
united
city
on that.
limits of Bowling Green, under our city charter, adopted by city council. That's what we're about. I hope you understand. And I don't want to take anything away from your ultimate goal. And I hope that's, that we can keep moving toward more sustainable energy in the city of Bowling Green. That's our goal. I like all